What's up, fellas? Stir your coffee using the vortex method. Cannot believe that's still a thing. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the thing. Let's dial that down. Much better. Ow! Ow! Hey, it's morning. Let me see. What do we got here? A lot of Europeans. Good to see you, Jack. Good to see you, Greenlight. So it's going to be a fun one. I had a few things for you today. Although I'm gonna kind of get off of my regular content because there was something that I wanted to get in here, which was so much fun. By the way, don't forget, Rule Zero's happening at 11:30-ish. It's going to be on Clary's channel. We're going to talk about home ownership in a post-marriage society. The merch, again, I found where the hell I left the shirt. It was lying in the bottom of a laundry pile. Coffee's just about ready. Yeah, it was some girl complaining, there's a girl complaining on social media? I know, right? I had to look really hard, and I eventually found something. But she was complaining that no men talk to her. And I thought, what a wonderful thing. And I, in my, cheeky wisdom, was like, I could spend 2 hours explaining to her why, but she won't care. One of you guys suggested, why don't you make an episode out of it? I'm like, all right, so we're going to add it to the list. So we got a few things. First one, give me that. I'll probably save this for later on, but idea of comfort tests. A lot of guys talking about alpha males and crap like that. They never actually stop to think, like, what are the tools you actually need? They just want to be told they're a good person. Spending some time going over why men and women are not the same. Because even guys will say, oh yeah, of course they're not the same. They're totally different. Will completely shit the bed when it comes to actually implementing that. Shutting the F up. I figure that one's always good. Good for fun. And if there's time, and I know Jack already did one on his channel, Praxeology of the Dominant Male. As well as taking control of the treasury. So we'll see how that one goes. Anyway, let's pull up that tweet. By the way, I forgot to ask, how's your day been treating you? We got Zane, greetings from South Florida. You guys are trying to invite Jack to be part of the T-Rex army. That's going to be all fun times. By the way, merch is live at the store. Again, fitness wear. The poly prop workout shirt. /podcast. How many podcasts do you know involve gym gear? Only one. That, what's the guy's name? The ex-Marine or whatever, the Special Forces guy always talks about owning your shit. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Having a good time anyway. Let me see. The Real Zero topic should be with DS talking about stirring coffee using the vortex. I see you've caught on to the George Bruno of our time. So I'm really excited to hear about that. French press lavazza with Irish cream. Good start to a Saturday. Oh, we don't use the I word in here, Greenlight. I just thought you should know. That's it. Jocko Wilnick. Oh, let me get a sip in here. Slept in, coffee, and work. Must be nice. Technically, I woke up before my dogs did, so I was pretty excited about that. Dude, you'd think I'd have this thing ready and already prepped up, but not so much. Well, it doesn't really matter, I guess. We all know the one. Let me get my timestamps for you. If we're going to do this, let's do it proper. There. Hitting on me. We're missing strong forehead representation on some point. You guys making fun of Jack's 6 head? I feel really bad about that. Audio balance is off. It does that again? All right, let me take a look here. Why in the hell would it have even done that? I can't figure out why it's doing that. Actually, here. When in doubt. How about now? Is the audio better? Dog alert. All right, so wait, whatever. If it's not good, we're going with it. Got to figure out what that problem is. Anyway, so yeah, this girl's on there, and she's a cute enough girl. I think she was like in her, I don't know, she probably has epiphany phase. Anybody who's complaining on Twitter about something other than men being sociopathic monsters tend to be like the epiphany phase, right? And she's sitting there, and she said to herself something like, I haven't had a man hit on me or talk to me in like 2 years or something stupid like that. Hey, what's up, Chesty? Dude, it's going to be fun. Walk up to me in 2 years and say something. And then, typical of the internet, you get a bunch of the MGTOW 420, 69 black pill types. Well, we would, but me too, so you deserve what you get. And I always laugh how guys are treating like this. There's this thing that's happening, like Me Too and all that stuff, and it's happening out there. Like, I'll say this, arguably, almost nobody knows somebody who's been Me Too'd. It's like not quite as bad as lung cancer back in the day, where everybody knew somebody who died of lung cancer. Smoking. In before the smoking ban. Red pills have moved pills and ears, where left ear, red pill. Is it still doing that for you? See, I don't know if there's any way I can fix it either. Anyway, so they're sitting here and they make an argument over... They're making an argument over nothing. Like, it's... This girl they'll never meet is not getting hit on by guys because these specific guys are terrified of a Me Too allegation. Oh, I agree, Matt. Now, that's the easy answer. Me Too doesn't apply to approach. And it doesn't. It doesn't. But they don't want to hear that because... It's not about the nail, man. Guys don't want to approach. And don't get me wrong, it's harder than it has been. I've been seeing this. Everybody's kind of atomized. Everybody works from home. There's no way to go to the office. You're not supposed to sleep with coworkers because it's not worth the risk. I get that. So there's basically guys who are already, borderline not talking to women, but would forced to be in a room with one, are now not forced to be in a room with one, and so they're not being with one. But that's the thing. You can't just accept that the choices in my life have led me to a suboptimal conclusion, because then that means there's something about you did wrong, right? I did something wrong. Otherwise, this stuff would all go, no. It's the world's fault. It's not my fault. And that's all that is. It's not my fault. You see, because of Me Too and divorce rape, I can't go walk up, talk to a girl. Now, I don't know what her problem is. Maybe she's got, and the girls were kind of trying to be helpful. They're like, maybe you have resting bitch face, and they word it in that girl way, and maybe it's you're not putting yourself where guys are. Yeah, but I mean, if I just call it a cope and dismiss it, I don't think that does it a good. I think it does the situation a disservice, because there is guys in that situation, and they've never considered their options. Now, you know me, I'll always stand for like old pickup stuff, like just walking up and talking to people, and the way they used to do it in the 2000s was like you go do your 8 hours of approaches, right? So there's a Toronto pickup artist that, pickup. I don't know what they call themselves anymore. I want to say pickup artist. I'll just say pickup. And he went to the Eaton Center. He's like, at this time of year, it's basically the only place where you can run it. And a bunch of spam approachers have completely ruined the environment. And it just reminds me of the old saying back in 2011 was that Toronto was the city that killed pickup. It really is. So like with limited common spaces for you to walk up to get to women, you're going to get a bunch of stupid coaches teaching these pickup camps and getting guys just to mass spam approaches. And they all run the same can lines, and then all the girls hear all the same can lines, so they start getting a little more aggressive with their rejections, and guys find out this stuff's not working. 100 kilograms of great personality. But here's the thing. So there's two parts to this then. There's one, obviously there's a bunch of guys that are low-key spamming everybody who does this stuff. But that doesn't mean like approaching people you don't know is dead. It's not. It's never been easier to walk up to a stranger and say hello. I'm not talking about just sleeping. At this point, I'm just talking basic social skills. Everybody is atomized. Nobody has a friend. Everybody's lonely. Everybody's staring at their phones. And the idea of a living, breathing person walking up to somebody and asking, hi, how are you doing? Is like a superpower. Ask me how I know. I know because I've done it. I was used to that. Like, my military time was easy. Everybody was at most 2 degrees of separation from everybody else in the base. So no matter where you went, there was somebody to talk to. And you get out of that, and then you realize, corporate-wise, people not really doing that so much. But then I find if you go visit the same places a couple times, you're going to start running into similar faces. Put a pin in that. Carlord, Targus, thank you, sir. $10 super chat. So twice now I have to speak about Jack Murphy's cuck article. See, I'm still sad. I should have screenshotted him instead of quote tweeting him so I didn't get the block because I want to see the kind of stuff he's going on now. Ryan, I'm visiting Toronto next week for a men's workshop run by David Sutcliffe. Hold up a sec. Let's see who the hell this is. Never heard of this guy. Sutcliffe. Dude, that looks like Jack. Wait, the actor from the Gilmore Girls? What? What would it take to convince you to meet for a drink or coffee? Thanks, but no thanks, man. I appreciate it, but trust me, yeah, you don't want to meet. I'm very boring. But I hope you enjoy yourself, man. Have fun. I'm telling you, you'll enjoy it. Besides, what are we going to sit there and talk about? The red pill? Dude, the last thing you want is to sit in like Toronto downtown, sitting there talking about Roger Tomarso and Anthony Johnson and Bruno and plates and all. It's cringe. Look, we got our little niche here. It's still cool. We're learning some things. We're having some fun, but you don't want it in the outside world. I'm like flat out telling you, flat out. Yeah, I should do summits. Approach in Vegas is demonstration easy mode. Oh, dude. The only reason I wouldn't approach in the States is because of the obesity epidemic. I still remember, man, when I was in Orlando and showing these guys, I'm like, all right, I'll dust off the old openers and bring a girl or two to the table here so you guys can practice. And Jesus, finding a girl that was under like a couple stone BMI, I was like, Jesus. Yeah. That's going to be kind of fun, though. So what kind of workshop the dude from the Gilmore Girls is doing? I also didn't know he was retired here in Toronto. Master your emotions. Oh, I see. Dude. Master your emotions. Master reality. Coaching, consulting, deep feeling workshops, the Psychosphere podcast. You know what? This is not my thing, but I wish power to all of you. Dude, he really does look like Jack Napier. I swear. Here, look. Check this out. It's kind of cool. Jack in 20 years, and if he had like a modicum of acting talent. Yeah, I'm sure they do, Dante. So here's the thing. You guys are offering all these solutions, right? Just go visit Dallas for a month. Or just talk to this and just do that. It's not about solutions. Trust me, I've been down this road, not just with this topic, but with every topic. Once a guy starts complaining about something going wrong, and you start offering solutions, he's not going to be like, oh, I had never thought of that. Thank you very much. And go walk in there. No, they're just going to start making other excuses as to why your excuses won't work. And it turns out that's when you find out, oh, okay, you don't want to solve this problem. You want to commiserate. You want to vent frustrations. And for that girl, anytime a girl puts like the smallest vulnerability on the internet, every MGTOW 420 69 has to walk up. It's like, you fucking bitch. This is teaching you a lesson for not kissing me at the school dance in grade 10. Cindy. Fucker. Yeah. Okay, I gotta close it though. He's staring at me right now. It's got those creepy eyes. That should be fun though. Let me know how it goes. I'm always curious to see what people are up to with like workshops and e-courses and that. And there's like a small part of the Patreon where I love having when the guys have actually taken like a Sterling course or body language mastery or whatever, and just give like their unfiltered thoughts on it. Because it's good. I like it as a value add, because then if there's really good ones, then I'd love it for other guys to find out why it's good. If there's ones that are kind of bad or have like a big caveat attached to it, again, I'd love for guys to know that one too. Red Pill Rambo, almost a decade old. Jesus, can you believe that? Anyway, so it's about the excuses, and then you realize there's this neurotic male sensibility. I can't explain it other than to start stepping on the next topic where it's going to be men raised as defective women. But it really is that, because like neuroticism is a feminine psychological condition. It is. Can't remember. You know, the eggheads do their studies and they're like, oh, okay, so this many people are this neurotic, and you know, the big five. And it turns out that when you take the bell curve of neuroticism and you separate it by gender, like there's no overlap. Men are order of magnitude less neurotic than women. I would argue the biggest reason for that is testosterone, because testosterone mutes your empathic response. But that's just like a theory. I wouldn't go too hard with that. Don't worry too much about whether the science is correct. You can kind of intuit it. Have a girlfriend for a bit and watch the shit she panics over. You'll know I'm right. But men are being raised by defective women now. And this is what's going to get to the main point of this. When they see these big attention-grabbing cases, you see, what are the big ones? Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, Harvey Weinstein and all those chicks, and Cosby and his chicks, and Nelly, Stallone, that idiot professor who's like, oh, female scientists just cry and they'll fall in love with you, and they fired his ass. Get the fuck out of here. Take your science with you, sir. We got a vaccine to develop, hopefully, maybe, preferably. And you see these things. Now, it has a cooling effect. It's called a cooling effect, where other people start to change their behaviors because they're worried about that. It's like chopping down the tall trees to keep the other trees in line, right? And it turns out Dalrock talked about this one in his seminal work, Threat Point, which I haven't talked about in a while, but I have talked about. So if you've been on the channel for a while, you probably already know what I'm talking about here. Let me just pull this up. Give you a link so you can follow along if you want to. And the examples he used here was for divorce court. So it's the same thing of guys who are like, I don't want to get married because I don't want to get divorce raped. That same sentiment is what's going on with why men aren't approaching women in real life right now. It's actually one of the first things Red Pill had ever kind of synthesized. Because it originally was from Keone Galt, and they called it the emasculation paradox. The idea that everything you say is wrong, and you're given these false like tests, and you'll fail no matter what you say, so it's better off just not to talk at all. The idea is a guy's worried about the worst case scenario of divorce rape, so if he just plays passive and submissive, it'll make it less likely for the girl to do that. Turns out it's the exact opposite. It actually makes her more likely to. Because girls, kind of like stronger men, so mentally stronger men. Now, it's funny, like, I can't believe you're drawing the connection between divorce court and just talking to a girl. It's like, well, I am. They actually had some eggheads studying this stuff. What's the guy's name? He passed it under here. Stevenson and Wolfers, economists. So not they kind of were feminists. They call it bargaining in the shadow of the law, divorce laws and distress. The quote he uses here, and I'm going to kind of start with this one. In the literature of the economics of the family, there has been growing consensus on the need to take bargaining and distribution within marriage seriously. Such models of the family rely on a threat point to determine distribution within the household. The switch to a unilateral divorce regime redistributes power in a marriage, giving power to the person who wants out, and reducing power previously held by the partner interested in preserving the marriage. So that was like the concept of it. Whether it's real or not, it's perceived to be real, and for humans, that's good enough. So look at this same thing with a girl complaining like, oh, guys just don't walk up and talk to me. It's exactly what they're going through. You have what's seen as a switch to a different type of power regime. It used to be, at least as far as we know, that you'd walk up to a girl and she'd be responsive, or she'd reject you, or she'd be polite and reject you. Or she'd be harsh and reject you, whatever. But that was it. You do something awkward, she might have a story, some creep tried cupping my ass, or, something stupid like that. And it was, obviously I'm not saying that's a good thing, but, like, she got to complain about it at the office the next day, and she got to bitch about men. The guy got called a creep. Maybe he got slapped in the face. Maybe her boyfriend was beside and punched him in the mouth. Like, that's as bad as it got, right? More often than not, most people aren't that crazy. They just, hey, nice shoes, want to fuck? She's like, no, fuck off. And he's like, all right, later. Like, that's as bad as it gets. But you put some high-profile examples there of guys just walking up to girls. And how many, was it? Where's Troy when I need him, man? There was that pickup artist in the UK. He got charged with something. Harassment, assault, because he was running pickup on some redhead. He was a Muslim guy, ran pickup on this redhead. She wasn't having it, and then he had to go to jail for it. Or at least arrested. That's the funny thing about all these little scaremongering hit pieces, is that they never let you know how things resolve. They just by the way, this horrible shit could happen tomorrow. And you're like, geez, that's horrible. And you're sitting there, heart palpitations. You're like, fuck. And then tomorrow you're like, I should maybe check up on that. And tomorrow, like, by the way, something new. You have no idea. And you've totally forgotten about the first guy. Like, I can't even remember the name, the situation, or what he was charged with. But I remember the case of man talk to girl, man in trouble, man bad. And that's, but like for me, I don't care. Like, obviously I'm in a relationship, but even if I wasn't, it's just like, I've seen the worst and the best of the human condition. I'm perfectly fine with some girl trying to throw an accusation at me, which won't happen, but I'm like, relax. Experience always tends to beat out this scaremongering, by the way. You know what I mean? Wasn't that some kid who wanted to make friends? That's the thing. Like, we can all kind of talk about it, but none of us really remember. But we kind of still have that visceral, memory to us. Like when you watch a kid get hit by a skateboard in the nuts and you kind of like get a tingle and you're like, that's not good. Why am I feeling pain? That's the empathic thing. But remember when I told you before how testosterone mutes the empathic response? You get a bunch of guys who have, and I'm not saying this is like a slight against them. I'm saying worldwide, all men have had reduced testosterone over the last, 50 years or whatever. So where whatever your level of neurosis would be, if it was a 0 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10, completely neurotic. I'm a social media brand. I want to talk about cancel culture. Doesn't matter. You've gone from 2 points higher from where you are now. So you take, let's say the threshold is a 5 out of 10 neuroticism, to the point where you'll plow through anxiety and still talk to a girl that you just don't know, a stranger, right? You take that lifelong decrease of testosterone and that moves you 2 points. Now that 20% of guys, the guys who used to be 3 out of 5 to 5 out of 5 neurotic, are pushed past the 5.0 mark and they don't hit on girls anymore. These aren't real numbers, by the way. This is just an illustrative example so you guys can understand where I'm going with this. So they have a segment of men now who have been pushed out of the dating market just from their own biology. Dark Knight Dev, sir, thank you for the cuck article. I'm working overtime today at FedEx, by the way, watching Coke Great Adams versus Hafiz. Oh yeah, the pool table guy on Sosnick. I need a lobotomy. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I unironically kind of want to watch that for a bit, but I know I want to punch myself in the dick. Like, whatever, if you like Coach Greg Adams, if you like Hafiz, fill your boots. For me, I just find them both to be kind of a laughingstock. But you do you. On Sosnick. Dude, Sosnick, I don't know. The more I'm learning about him, the more I'm kind of like, I can see how he makes money. But it's one of those ones like where I'm happy for you, but I wouldn't go near you with a 10-foot business dick, But hey, if as long as people find it entertaining, dude, I can imagine Greg Adams and Hafiz just talking. It's just like babble. There's like occasionally a noun thrown in, but it's just, yeah. I hope he wasn't wearing a stupid pool table jacket again. Spanish telenovas are better. No, thank you. Yeah, they're pushing, and that's the thing. Yes, and here's like the it's actually a little more sophisticated than just dudes are giving up. Yes, they are pushing themselves out of the dating market, but yes, there's also a hormonal component that's largely outside of their control that makes it that much harder, right? It's like anything. If you make things hard enough, eventually people stop doing it. So, like, what do you do about that? And I hate to say it, but do you even lift, bro? The longer we do this for, the more problems we run into, the more I'm starting to realize that just going and getting a big, heavy workout routine seems to solve about 90% of these problems. Sausage brand. A plaid one this time. Dude, I can't believe that he's starting to go full Don Cherry with his jackets. He's got to be careful because I might start to like him if he starts going on with like maple leaf blazers, or was that pink paisley one he used to have? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, for the Canadians, just look up Don Cherry. I think Don Cherry jacket. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right term. John Cherry jacket. Yeah, that's the one. And just look at images. This guy is like, I don't know, who's your biggest sports broadcaster? He's like ours. And it's just hilarious. Hockey Night in Canada for like since the 70s until he got Me Too'd in like 2015 because he said something about you people talking about immigrants. Or no, people that hated Remembrance Day. He called them you people, and then somebody, you people, we got him. Yeah, here, even from Detroit. I remember Cherry, he used to wear some wild shit. I'm looking at some of these now, and I'm like, I don't ever want to hear anybody crap on my shirts ever again. But yeah, so there's that chemical thing here. Now, from the girls' perspective, they don't know, and they can't fix it, and they just get to complain about it. And this is like, I don't know what the name for it is. It's some kind of paradox. It's mostly that, like, you know that meme with the bike where the guy's running his bike, has a stick in it, jabs the stick in his wheel, knocks his bike over, and then he blames something else? Women are kind of like that because they're a communal species, right? They want to get along. They want inclusivity. They want diversity. Big tent, big tent. You're all welcome. No judgment here. You know, nobody did anything wrong. No standards. Just about getting along. And in efforts of doing that, they're like, you know, we shouldn't have kids being bullied at school, which fine. Give her. Well, we also shouldn't have, you know, people doing this. Well, girls should never be made to feel uncomfortable. And then that comfort threshold keeps pushing further and further and further to the point that a woman should be able to walk by herself in the middle of like a war zone at 3 a.m, and you guys should just not do anything. Now here, I mean, I'm not going that extreme yet, but yeah, at this point where girls should just be able to walk and mind their own business, a lot of guys with that extra neurosis, they kind of pick up a lot of these feminine traits too, right? Where, well, that's great. That's a good idea. Yeah, she should be safe. She should be this. You know, the white knight starts to kick in. You take white knight, you add that increase or lack of testosterone, that increased, what do they call it? Empathic response. And yeah, this is what you get. You get a girl that's like, you know, in the last 2 years, not a single guy has walked up and talked to me. And what are their best solutions? I remember my favorite one was a girl saying, yeah, so when you shoot him down, don't discourage him. And they really don't understand guys at all. It's like, there is no such thing as a rejection that's not discouraging. Like, that's rejection. There's ways around it, but that's like, it's ahead of the topic. Yeah, 2 years, but COVID and all that shit. Oh, and don't get me wrong, I agree. Well, see, Stripey, that's like the easy response anyway to dismiss her. She seemed like a normally attractive woman. Nothing wrong with her. And here's the thing. You don't know if she's got, like, if she's broke in debt, if she has, like, you know, three dads and 3 kids at home. You don't know any of this stuff yet. These are unknowns. All you know right now is there's, like, an averagely attractive girl, and nobody's walking up to her. And it's not because all the hot chicks are taking all the attention, right? Yeah, and here's the thing, and then she may be getting approached too, right? Like, there's women have this neat thing, and it's like an old MGTOW talking point, which I don't disagree with, where they have 2 worlds, and the first world is like real life, and that's where you show like all these guys walking around doing their thing, and then they're showing it through girl glasses, and then there's only like 3 guys in the same picture, just the 3 tallest, most attractive guys. But yeah, like, they will forget every single time they got hit on by some ugly dude. They'll forget about the time when they were 20 and act like a right cunt to guys and didn't think about it. And then they're wondering, now I'm 28, I'm still cute, why does nobody approach? Having said that, I am all for the, you know, enjoy your comeuppance, except for this. What's that stat that everybody loves? Yeah, a mid. Nothing wrong with mids. They're in the mid. 30% of men. 30% of men are incels. 30. What's that thing? It was that haven't had sex in the last year or last 2 years. I can't remember which one. It was one of those 2. No. The 30% one. So I refuse to believe that 30% of the men aren't getting anything. Not a hand job, not a blowy, not sex, not a prostitute, not nothing. Not even bumped into the girl at the supermarket and accidentally touched like the green beans or something like that. Nothing. Yeah, 1/3 of men under 30. I refuse to believe in the land of, like, the sexual desert, the desert of the real, that all of these guys are like, I would never touch that girl anyway. She's a mid. she's this, she's a feminist. All these fucking standards. And again, you know what? We're just going to switch the topic at this point because I'm just going to start ranting about how men and women aren't the same. All right, give me some Emily.
We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
Donka, Fraulein, Donka. Damaged women. Oh, I love Jesus, damaged women. Like they're Morlocks and Eloy. Well, you broke this one. She had one dick too many, and now her brain is broken. It's like, what the fuck, dudes? What was I saying? Oh, yeah, the standards. So speaking of men being raised as defective women. And it's... Do I go into the reasons? Have I done the reasons before? Like the failed parenting strategy thing? Probably. You know what? We got 2 hours to kill. Let's do it. So, let me take you back. Take you back to the early 80s, early 90s, or the 2000s, or whenever the fuck you were born in. And we'll take a guy 200 years prior to that. His family was farmers. They lived on the family farm. Dad went out, tended the fields, came home, hung out with the kids. Mom tended to the kids. She was busy cooking things on the stove, feeding the animals, pumping water from the pump outside. Actually, dude, this is my grandma's house. Oops. I forgot about the pump in the outhouse. It's like this is the 90s. What the hell? And so dad had influence and mom had influence on the kid's life. And dad and mom, generally speaking, have two separate styles of parenting strategies. It's not that they're actively doing it. It's just what we're inclined for. Men are more about structure and rules. We love that. You know, do your chores, go to school. You do A, B, C, D, and E. And as long as those are done, you're okay. But if you don't do them, you're in trouble. Now beat your ass. Right? All right, Dev. I'll break down the 4, 5s, and 6s thing in a second here. I won't forget. So, you have kids that are both raised with mom's nurturing style, right? Which is like, you know, make your parents happy, respect your authority. That's great. Then you have dads. As long as you do the things you're told, you'll be fine. And that's great. Now we switch back to you. You know, Goonies just came out. Top Gun's the biggest movie of the year, and you're sitting there. Dad is either working at an office all day. You never see him at home. In my case, my stepdad used to work out in the bush. Lumber mill stuff in the bush. Bringing logs down. He was gone for like 16 hours a day. I never saw the guy. Some guys, mom just leaves. She's like, I don't like dad. I'm not happy. I'm out. So she's doing the single, and then some girls are single moms. So you got the single moms, divorced moms, and the working dads. So they're gone. It's not working the family farm anymore. They're gone. And so dad's child rearing is gone. All this rule-based stuff is gone. He comes back. It's hard. Like, this guy I barely know all of a sudden is trying to assert authority on me. You're not my real dad. How many stepfathers have had, like, how do you handle the you're not my real dad conversations? Like, well, you look to mom and ask her for authority. It's like, dude, that's a recipe for disaster. Recipe for disaster. And so you lose out on that rule and structure-based parenting, and then you end up with, like, character and authority-based parenting. Which is fine if that's what it is. If it's just about respecting your elders, there's cultures that do that. But here's the difference. Women are neurotic. They're neurotic and they're emotional, and they have bad days and they have good days. So a kid will walk in one day. Mom had a great day, you know, doing whatever it is that she did. And so she treats her son great. It's like, oh, it's good to see you, blah, blah, blah. You know, hey, let's have some dinner. Oh, I broke some things. Don't worry about it. We'll go fix you up. Then there's days where mom is sad and she wants to cry to her kid and talk about all of her problems. And so now the kid, the most important person in this kid's life, is like bitching about how much of an asshole his dad is. And you're like, the person that I love more often in this world hates this guy, so I'm going to hate this guy. And then sometimes it's not quite so pretty. Mom had a really bad day at work, and so she gets mad at her kid. Go watch the TV, get the fuck out of my face. Stop bugging me. Stop screaming. I can't take it. Bad Billy Pratt, the killed a party. He's been doing that on his like Twitter lately. I find it hilarious. Where he keeps like mentioning how the mommy bloggers fucking hate their kids. I'll see if I can pull up a quick example here. Killed a party. There he is. Jeez, he does a lot of stuff. Here's the one with Jessica Valenti. Jessica Valenti, who I thought was the one that Rollo always talks about with the you guys should date the bad boys and blah 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 and settle down with the nice man. But apparently she's like some Jezebel feminist writer, and she's on this one's like, after a stressful day, I rallied last night and cooked a whole ass chicken pot pie for the first time in my life because my 12-year-old asked for one. Her response, it's a B+. She's like, don't have kids, and that's a mild example. But he's like, if you go through his stuff, oh my god, half of it is just like, why do moms hate their kids so much? Oh yeah, here's my favorite. I should almost put these on screen, but you know what? Whatever. Most of you guys are just listening anyway, so you can pull it up if you want to in the chat. Pretended to join in on the loud singing fun at church to get the shouts out. Do modern women hate their children? So imagine this: you're a kid, and your mom is essentially your lifeline. Like, you can't make a sandwich without mom, so if mom's gone, you're dead. You can't pay rent. You can't drive to work. You can't even dress yourself. This woman does all that for you, and she's mad, so you're in trouble. And so what do guys do? They try very hard to please their mom. And in doing this, they kind of pick up her feminine qualities, and then they pick up this reverence, this irrational reverence for women that just really fucks us over. It really does. So, when I say men and women aren't the same, I also use that interchangeably with men are being raised as defective women. In this case, these kind of guys, which is, to some extent, it's you or me. As much as I say, like, I'm above it, alpha male, but I remember as a kid, I fucking hated my stepdad, and mom was the greatest guy ever, and almost went to bat and started fighting the guy with my brother, but we walked it back, and then at the end, you just it's kind of one of those things when you red pill, you kind of have to realize, like, the guy did as good as best he could. And for your mom, like, she's just a chick. Like, I know Donovan talked about all the time about how his mom was like a fucking horrible single mom influence, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys that have it too. It's a pretty common complaint. And you kind of just learn to let that shit go. Like, she's just a woman. He did the best he could. Maybe if you'd have given a copy of Rational Male when you were first born, he'd have been okay. Now we're talking about singing at church here. But yeah, so we're not the same. And if you're not in that position yet, you start to act like a woman. What do women do? Women get approached. Women make themselves available. So guys will sit here preening themselves, dressing up really nice, wearing the nice masculine face creams. And don't get me wrong, as a recovering metrosexual myself, I loved all that stuff. I liked it from the perspective of taking care of myself. I think the military honed it really well, where it was, instead of me just be like preening myself to be the prettiest little girl on the block, it was kind of get your kit ready. In the same way I'd be ironing shirts and polishing boots, moisturizing and exfoliating. It was just part of the process, right? My parents are great. I'm my own fucking problem. Yeah, and you see it out in the open, and you realize these guys are starting to act like defective women. Now, there's nothing wrong with peacocking. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for peacocking. If you guys don't know, peacocking is just presenting yourself ostentatiously in order to garner attention. So, but if you don't approach women because you have this neurotic fear of what might happen, and you're making yourself look available and be available and putting yourself where everybody else is, then yeah, you're basically acting like a defective woman. And everybody's like, I want a feminine woman. Well, then they're not very reactive. They're not going to hit on you. They would rather sit there all day waiting and then go home cry than actually muster up the courage to talk to you. So if you want it, you got to go get it. Which it should make sense. Like, if you want to go hunting, you find me an animal that's going to jump on your spears. Like, no, you got to go get them. Honestly, half of us on YouTube barely shower, so metrosexual face creams aren't a bad aspirational goal. All right, so back to Dark Knight Devs, where he's talking about the breakdown of the 4s, 5s, and 6s. I like this as a mental model. It's kind of true, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be. Everybody always has their HB scale, right? The hot babe scale. Oh, I think it's hot babe is what they call it. 1 to 10. You know, 1 girl's being the ugliest and 10's being the hottest. And you'll get these autists. There's like an incel wiki. Yes, I know there's an incel wiki. I don't care. It's fucking ridiculous. Let's move on. And they talk about, like, well, if you're morbidly obese, it's 1, and this is 2. It's like, look, no. You take out the obesity epidemic in the States. Let's pretend we all live in Europe. We'll live in Poland somewhere. You take men and women and anything, and you plot them on a bell curve. And what you will find is that women tend to cluster around the mean. Women are, from the genetic standpoint, are the stable set of chromosomes. Men are the outliers. Our curve is shorter and wider. What does that mean? That means there are more average women than average men. But it also means there's more retard men and genius men than women. Feel me? Same thing with attractiveness. Men, there is a lot of ugly dudes. 2 out of 10 wouldn't touch you with my dick kind of dudes. There is a lot of gorgeous chads. That's why on the rare occasion where you find a man who people say is objectively hotter than hot chicks, he will swim in it. Because there's just so few of them. It's the same way like Mr. Fisher is like great at chess, but he'll never join the knitting club. Screams in Stedman. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Have you ever heard about the 8.75s? Yeah, I go. It's like missing the point. Anyways, women, 4s, 5s, and 6s. 90% of the time. And any girl that's higher than that is mostly your ego. Your ego talking. Oh, I'd love, that's J-Lo. That's a celebrity. Wow, she's a 10. Well, she's not a 10. You just have celebrity worship. She's really just like the same 6. And here's how you can tell the difference. 4s are girls you would sleep with, but you don't tell anybody about. You're slump busters, you know? 5s are girls you would sleep with, and you won't hide it, but you won't brag about it either. Yeah, that's my girlfriend. That's my wife. This is whatever. Yeah, I met her last night. She's great. 6s are ones you would sleep with, and you will brag about. And that's it. Well, what about the 3s? You're not sleeping with 3s. 3s are girls you don't want to sleep with, so they don't exist on this chart. Funny enough, how the Hot Babe 10 scale is just really 3. What about the ones that are out of my league? Well, you're not sleeping with those either, so those don't count. And when you say out of your league, normally you mean just a girl's got such a prickly attitude that you won't even walk up and talk to her. Or she's in some kind of luxury social circle that you'll never see. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel like running day game in Monaco during the F1 races or Indy 5, whatever one they do there. Well, and I go what you're saying about the objectiveness here, Dante, where he's like a 4 for me, might be a 6 for him. It's less so the case with men. With women, absolutely. With men, it tends to be closer to a universal thing than you'd think. I think we dance around in the details. Do you prefer big boobs? Do you prefer small boobs? Are you a ass man? Are you a boob man? But generally speaking, it's like the hip ratios, the youthful skin, the glowiness, like all that stuff is pretty universal. And they found, if you ask enough guys, our HB scales align pretty damn close. So there's small variations. All right, here's a good point here from unvaccinated and happy MGTOW. What about the very overweight obese chicks? They can have multiple dudes. Well, I got a very simple answer. What about them? How does that affect me? Oh my god, a bunch of dudes are sleeping with that fat broad and she's got an attitude. I still wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. I don't have enough piss. Don't care. Don't care. Look, you're just going to have to accept. You have to. As a guy, you have to accept the fact that every girl you meet will have a higher notch count than you. Every single one. Yes, the quiet ones. The ones that seem like they have a low notch count and meet all your criteria for not hoeing around. Those are the ones that are better able to hide the notch count. That's the only difference. When I was dating, my rule of thumb was whatever girl I ran into, whatever my notch count was, assume hers is twice that. And with inflation and Tinder the way it is now, I almost want to start upping that from two times to maybe 3 or 4. But you get the point. Doesn't really matter. Anything above 2, n plus 2 over yours is pretty much going to be enough to get that existential male crisis, right? So here, once you accept that as a fact, then you can deal with whatever your core issue is. And for most guys, the core issue, and they'll say it's because I don't want a girl that can't pay. No, that's not the issue. Some stupid Manosphere brand told you that. I think it was Rollo. So I should say some intelligent Manosphere brand told you that, and you latched onto it as a post hoc justification. You did. You absolutely did. You don't even try to tell me otherwise. What you want is you want to have a higher notch count. You want to win this contest that you didn't know you were having. I need to know that I had enough sexual experience that I'm above her because the fucking is the only thing that matters. And do you guys remember that meme, that counter signal meme, where they got like the Stacy Wojak and she's bitching at guys? I can't pull it up right now, but if somebody knows it, put it in there. Where she's like, I don't like what you say, so I'm going to call you an incel because sexual availability is the only standard that I know. You know that? Every time a girl gets mad at you, they call you a virgin. Online, offline, whatever. And yeah, it turns out men being raised as defective women. Once we start thinking of the notch count as our be-all and end-all metric, it's along those lines. I'm not saying it doesn't count. I'm saying hyperfixation on it is a feminine trait. Yeah, we'll never win that contest. And it's not even me just saying that to make you feel better. There's some scientific basis to this. There's actually a, why all your friends have... All of your friends have more friends than you. There we are. I don't know if this is the best reference to it, but we'll go with that. It's not Wall Street Journal. So with mathematics, I can actually explain to you how all of you guys, every one of your friends has more friends than you have. You know, it doesn't make sense. I can't have all my friends having more friends. No, they do. And in the same way, all your friends have more friends than you do. All the chicks you sleep with have slept with more dudes than you. Well, then you've slept with girls. Or, you know, whatever. Maybe you're John Anthony. Whatever, I'll stick my dick in anything. It's all good. It's all human, I think. Yeah, it's true. You don't get the virgin insult. You mostly get called useless. Or, you're just like my bitch ex-husband. Yeah, when you stop having daddy issues and you start having ex-husband issues. And the way they describe it here is because it's distributed in a power law rather than an ordinary linear relationship. And a lot of guys, they look at it like a linear relationship. Well, there's 10 men, 10 women. Everybody's had one notch count and everybody's happy. In reality, 10 women have had sex with 2 guys a lot, and 8 guys have had sex with 2 girls. And that's it. It's a power law. So you can accept it, man. And that's why, and then getting back to like the first topic, I know we're bouncing back and forth. Why have no men hit on me? It's because every man has like such a skewed feminine worldview about this shit that they don't do what comes naturally. And it does. It comes naturally. Walking up to a stranger and saying hi is a natural thing. Children. You get children that were raised right. And I mean right as in like not, no cigarettes put on them as a kid, no over-coddling parents, father and a mother talking to them, that kind of thing. I'm not saying marriage. I'm just saying they're both there helping the kid. They get, what the hell's the name of it? Comfortable avoidance theory? Attachment theory. I gotta find what the one is, the good one. There's 4. Oh, for fuck's sakes. There it is, the 4 theories of attachment. Okay, secure. Secure attachment theory. And these are kids that walk up to strangers and say hi. You're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Hey, what's up, man? You're like, what's up, little guy? Talking to you like he's an adult. Those are secure attachments. That's what people default to. They default to that. Problem is, when you do it poorly, you end up with like anxious, ambivalent, disorganized, and avoidant. Those are the kids that like hide behind mom's leg and shit like that, right? And I know we're talking about toddlers right now, but remember, this stuff we learn in our core developmental years, while they become more sophisticated and more refined, it's the same behaviors we carry over to our adulthood. So if you're an anxious and avoidant child, you tend to be that adult that thinks, oh, I don't want to talk to the girls. I don't want to get me too'd. It's funny, too, because Last Psychiatrist had a great article on that where he was talking about, does your parenting affect your propensity for children's mental disorders? And it turns out, yes. Now, I don't have the details off the top of my head, but he brought up there was 6, up to 6 different, like, parenting failures. I don't know, like abuse or whatever, right? And then he compared that to a baseline of nature versus nurture for psychological disorders. Antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, psychotics, schizophrenic, stuff like that. Antisocial is the important one for us. Turns out antisocial personality disorder, baseline of 0. Nobody is born antisocial. But through parenting strategies and through your developmental hormones, you can develop it over time. And it turns out if you have, by their charts, it was like at least 6 red flags for failed parenting strategies. I'd have to go look up the details of it again. It's actually, this is actually a more sophisticated topic that I should be talking about in a podcast, but fuck it, we're having fun. It turns out that you increase the likelihood for something like 6-fold. 6-fold. So in the same way that the loss of testosterone was pushing 20% of men outside of the realm of the confidence to attract, you take failed parenting strategies, of which feminism and failing the fathers failing their kids, being raised by feminism to rate other men, all those factors combined create a 6-fold increase of guys who don't have the social skills to approach. So you take this all together, and I've actually talked about this. I have an article on my blog called Thotrazone. Ask your doctor if Thotrazone is right for you, right? Or sorry, not sociopathy. Thanks, Zach. Technically, it's not a thing. It was psychopathy. So you take all of these things together, and you're just shifting the Overton window of guys that are, willing to approach girls and that. And yeah, girls created this mess. They encouraged this mess. They selected for this mess. And then once the mess is here, they're like, geez, somebody needs to fix this. So I don't know, maybe that's a repeal the 19th argument, but I'm not going to make it because I'm like, yeah, let's just talk about how aliens are going to fix us while we're at it. While we're making solutions that aren't going to happen. That may or may not even work. And who knows what the consequences are, but hey, fiddling with everything with the sledgehammers worked well for us in the past, right? Oh, tuber, Jesus. Yeah, so that's what you get. You get a bunch of antisocial, neurotic guys, raised like women, acting like women, preening themselves. It's that mouse utopia experiment all over again, man. It's fucking brutal. All right, speaking of that, give me a grifter. Let's do this one.
Charles Bukowski, Jordan Peterson, Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio.
Shut the fuck up. I like this one, man. I like it because, so we're on practical stuff now. I've laid out, we're talking about feminism and shit for too long. I don't want to turn this into a Rollo podcast. He's already got that market cornered. Stripey Cat, thank you, sir, for the 10 A's. Great show, Ryan, and great advice at doing the show here in Australia. Oh, you're in Australia, mate. Awesome. It's good to see you. Congratulations on finally kicking John Barilaro out from the office. Should be pretty exciting. My wife doesn't like the books in the oven. Yeah, your wife's a bitch. I noticed you used a pepper thing for salt. It's not. It's you guys never seen this? I actually have they're Le Creuset because the girl was big on those. It's a salt and pepper mill. So because you buy the big rock salts, like all the Himalayan salts, the pink salts, the idea is they have more like minerals in them. It's supposed to be better for eating. But it's clearly just a ritual thing. Same as like with the coffee and that. So yeah, we have a pepper mill and a salt mill. But I'm pretty sure salt isn't fresh and need to be ground. Like you could just grind it and sprinkle it too, but whatever. Real men crush their own salt, basically. Oh, good man, Matt. Which color did you end up getting, by the way? Obviously, I grabbed everything in here in red. That was my girl's attempt to manipulate me into it. She's like, no, this is good. That way for your cooking channel and your stuff, you can have, because it's like red pill, right? So you have a red coffee machine, you got red cups, and you got red coffee mills. I'm like, I have a $20 coffee mug now. And a $40 pepper shaker. God damn you, woman. Oh, you got the clear ones. Okay. Reminds me of the Pepper Boy skit from Saturday Night Live back when it was good. Well, that's interesting. So, wasn't this episode about a girl that nobody walks up to approach and your next topic is shut the fuck up? It's like, yeah, it is. But it's not what you think. So, obviously, going up, approaching girls is great. I think for a lot of guys, and we'll do that, and then we'll skip to the shutting the fuck up, but for a lot of guys, and this is the practical solution for you, is they're hyper-fixated on the outcome. I'm going to go talk to that girl. We're going to sleep together. And if that's not the outcome, then I have failed, and then I feel bad, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to yell at some girl on TikTok, and then I'm going to watch Wheat Waffles, and then I'm going to jerk off to the sex doll, and then I'm going to hate my life and talk about NoFap in November. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Okay, so you got the pink stuff too. Yeah. Instead, you treat it the same way you treat any other human activity. You are learning a skill. And yes, being charismatic, being charming, opening a girl, talking to her, those are skills. Same as talking your way through a job negotiation. Same as being able to handle your kids. All these things are skills, and they're skill sets that you may or may not have. If you do have them, great. Skip this section, leave a like. I'll see you in 10 minutes. If you don't have these skills, then you learn to develop them. And this is why I like pickup, and I call it the training wheels for the soul. Because if you don't know how to walk up to a girl and say something, then you're not going to know what to do, and you're going to have no structure to it, and then you're just going to flake out because you don't know what you're doing. It's like that old meme where somebody was like, this is what traditional relationship advice or dating advice is. And it was a guy trying to draw owl. Like, first you draw some circles, and that's the first frame, and then the second one, then you draw the rest of the fucking owl. And it was like this amazing, realistic owl drawing, and you're like, well, that's about right for relationship advice. But yeah, with those, like, they structure, like Roosh structures an old man opener. Mystery does like an opinion opener. And so, okay, so you have an opener. And the point is, it's not realistic. It's scripted. It's not mine. It's like, look, if you don't know what to say, here's what you say. Practice this, get good at this, and then you're going to understand intuitively why I can use this opener and talk to people. And then you start to develop your own openers. You call it breaking the ice. You call it just saying hi. Whatever you call it, it's there. So you have that training wheel so you can practice the process. And then once you're good at it, you can fool around, have fun, tell different stories, try a different opener. Maybe on this one is literally just hi. Maybe you start with your name before she shows interest. Maybe you start with your name after, and you play with it, right? So now that it's the process, rejection is kind of built into the system. Like, you need rejection to find out what you're missing. If you can't walk up to a girl and say hello, well, it turns out approach anxiety is your weak point, right? So what do I do about that? Well, that's what the canned openers are for. There's no anxiety. Wow, but I can't even get that far. Okay, you're going to go and ask the girl for the time. There's no anxiety because you don't want anything from her, just the time, and it's such a small thing, they'll give it to you. Say thank you, walk away. You get through that, you realize your anxiety is misplaced. You do it a couple times, you realize there's no anxiety, you can just walk up and ask somebody for the time. It's like, great, now try your actual opener. But you see the point? So before, girls are not getting hit on because they're mid or whatever, and guys aren't hitting on them because they don't want to get Me Too'd, even though that's ridiculous. And unless you're Harvey Weinstein, you're pretty much safe, or a billionaire in that case. Like maybe hire a service. And so you start getting comfortable in areas of this. So you get comfortable in approaching a stranger. You getting comfortable with being like forward with a stranger. And if you're from a small town, you should kind of know this anyway. The idea of somebody from a small town just walk up and saying hi. Like, I laugh. Like, because I've been in Toronto when I was like 7 years. Jesus. I still think I live in Vancouver, BC. Or Vancouver Island, I mean. But I realized that was like over a decade ago. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So, like, my girl and I have been here for a while. And you kind of develop a little bit of, like, a coldness from the city. And we had gone to Halifax to visit some friends. And Halifax is like small town vibes. Small fisherman village, small town vibes. And we're sitting there at the grocery store, and this old lady just in front of us starts talking to my old lady. Like, just, how's the weather, this, that, oh, my son is this. And she started, and my girl was like freaking out at first. She's like, what the fuck is she doing? And then because she's from a small town too. But then after like a minute, she's like, oh, wait. That's right. People are just normal here. And so she kicked into it. But for a lot of guys, that's kind of what you have where... And for a lot of girls, they may be so socially stunted because, like, girls are getting screwed over in this new atomized workplace thing too, man. As much as I want to say men are the only ones that suffer, no, it's girls. Of course, they suffer with the sex life, so, who has it worse? Doesn't really matter. Mustang Third, thank you for the £4.49 shilling? What's the cents called in Britain? Are there really no girls no one hits on, or are these just girls that say that no guys hit on because I like them? It's a mixture of all three. Some of it is girls really aren't hit on at all, ever. Some of it is girls that have the memory of a goldfish, kind of like how your wife's like, you never take me out to dinner anymore. And you're like, I took you out yesterday. Yeah, but you never do it anymore. And then the third ones are like, if I say this, a bunch of MGTOWs will engage my stuff and give me some likes and follows. So there's all kinds of three. But I make a real effort here to ignore the clout chasing assholes other than to poke fun at them or make advertisements. Pence. Gotcha. So £4, 49 pence. Thank you, Mustang. That guy's double eve. So what the hell's a shilling then? There's a shilling, pound, it's pound sterling. Remember that. And a pence. Yeah, I chatted up a girl the other day. She recently had a fight with her boyfriend, went to see him. She needed someone to talk to. People are hella lonely. Oh, dude, hella lonely. And remember, too, like, yeah, men are raised as defective women. That's why we have all this need to find, like, masculine clubhouses and shit lately. But, like, women have that to a level that we don't. Men are much more able to live by themselves and be alone. You know? You kind of have to be. But women, not so much. So you remember, as bored as you might think you are, especially during, like, COVID, imagine how bored a girl is. It's like neuroticism. You think neurotic is neurotic, they're, like, a factor of 4 greater than yours. Well, I mean, it's discontinued here in Canada, too. We don't have pennies anymore. Although I've only seen, like, a quarter and a loonly for the shopping carts. Other than that, I have not seen, like, cash in, like, 4 years. It's a sterling copper. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, business travel, talk to everyone. And that's the skill, right? So that's when you're practicing as a skill. I want to get good at being able to talk to anybody. It's going to come in handy at business. If you have to talk to a new vendor, you get to go know their team, make yourself memorable. Maybe you're at a workshop with a whole bunch of work things. People will remember your name. Like, I'm that guy. I remember this when I used to work corporate side. Every now and then they would take us to a workshop. I'd start talking to some of the people there, and everybody would kind of recognize, like, where do I know you from? And it's usually from, like, the last workshop event. Like, oh, yeah, you were that guy. Okay, cool. I remember you now, and then you have a chat. Or, no, you might have known my boss, this guy or this guy. But, yeah, even just from emails. And it's because it's a skill. That's because for, like, 5-10 years, I was running opinion openers at Chicken 6 at the bars, so I got good at running opinion openers on potential bosses and coworkers and all that shit, too. Not saying it's some, like, majestic alpha male skill that you'll never learn and I'm the greatest at it. I'm saying it is an easy-to-learn, infinitely useful skill that has a zero barrier for entry, of which I'm at a competent level, and there's no reason anybody else shouldn't be at my level. I know it's weird for, like, an online brand to say, like, I'm the best guy ever. This is fucking suck my dick. Sign up to the Gumroad Court. Like, that's it. I'm like, look, I am at a level that is easily achievable by anybody given a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, and a little bit of guidance. If you aren't at this level, then you're fucking wasting your time. Stop jerking off and smoking weed and go hit the gym. You know what I mean? Yeah, Mustang here. He lived in a big city at tourist hotspots. People asking for directions a lot if you're local. Might be a good idea for socially nervous guys to break a trend. Absolutely. And don't forget, too, like, the purpose of peacocking. The purpose of peacocking is a way of making yourself more approachable. Because girls don't like approaching people. But I'm going to use a fantastical example that you should not do. Let's say you walk around and you're holding a purse. Like a big pink Coach purse. And you're otherwise dressed in, like, denim jacket and you're all that macho shit, but you got the big pink purse. That's peacocking. Somebody wants to walk up to you. Maybe a girl wants to walk up and tease you. Maybe she's curious. Maybe she likes your purse. Although if she likes Coach, she's probably not worth dating. From what I understand, Coach is like the ratchet of purse branding. But it gives them, like, what are you doing with the pink purse? Have somebody to walk up and have the comfort to say that? That's the purpose of peacocking. What is red morning? Oh, it's funny you ask. And then it gets the conversation started. So they have a plausible deniability. It's not like, I want to fuck this guy. This guy's interesting. No, it's like, I need to know what that is. What is that hook? And you can do that with others too. That's the whole purpose of old man openers from Roosh was find something on somebody that looks like meaningful and make a comment on it and get them to extrapolate. Yeah. But if she likes Michael Kors, yeah. Is giant rubber breasts peacocking? I'll say this right now, man. Everybody knows that guy. You all know him. You all are willing to approach. There's parents all down that PTA meeting approaching him. Hey, get the fuck out of my school. He's like, well, now that I have your attention, what's your favorite color? Is that the latest iPhone? I've really used that. I know, and see, that's the thing. Doesn't matter how stupid your thing is, too. Because if you say it with like a little bit of irony behind you and a big goofy smile, you can get away with a lot. Like, I've told the story a bunch. Just making fun of a girl's, that stupid unicorn Starbucks drink was like one of my openers. And it works great. The fuck is that diabetes drink you got there? Like, you can say that to a perfect stranger. It's like, yes, you can. Because they're bored, and I'm fun, and that drink is too sugary. Bread pudding going in the oven. Longhand to Robert if somebody didn't like Wayne. Well, now I gotta see. Which one's bread pudding? I know the dish, but I always get it mixed up with, like, is that the blood pudding one? Or is that... Oh! So this is like the British version of, the heck are those called? Tiramisu, right? You take a bunch of bread and you put them in the baking pan with, like, some sugar and shit in there. And then you just bake it like a cinnamon roll. That's not bad. Or just make an accusation that isn't true. Yes. Now, I should preface that you don't want to make it like, aren't you the girl that raped 3 children? Like, you need to do something that's mildly teasing as an accusation, but not aggressively so. So always err on the side of, like, milquetoast on these ones. I didn't say it's like tiramisu. I said it's like the British version of tiramisu. Yeah, milk, bread, raisins. Because that's all tiramisu is. It's like old Italian biscuits, and you put them in there with some coffee and some, like, sugar and shit. And this is just, you take old bread, and you put it in a thing with milk and raisins and stuff. Bread and butter pudding. Yeah, it's tiramisu. English tiramisu. Your knees look really scuffed up. What kind of work do you do? Whatever. If you don't like how I phrase it, then you fuck yourself. That's bread pudding as far as I'm concerned. I'm staring at the picture of it right now, and that's exactly what it looks like. Unless I'm getting tiramisu mixed up with something else. Hold on a sec. Now I gotta look it up. Tiramisu pudding. Yeah, because the Italians can cook, so they make it look really nice. Yes. Oh, that's what I said. I said British tiramisu. You don't have to say skanky. It's just like repeating yourself, right? Just make crumpets. It's easier. Yeah. Oh, so the topic of this was shut the fuck up. What the hell are you talking about? Well, in all of these situations, I've brought up social things that guys either never learned, or they aren't good with, or they're out of practice, or whatever. What do you do in those situations? There's this girl giving me a shit test, and I don't know how to pass it. There's a girl that wants a comfort test, and I don't know what to do. There is a girl asking me a question, and I'm going to start simping. What do I do? And the answer for you is shut the fuck up. If you don't have a good response for something, if you don't have an understanding of the dynamic you're in the social thing, if you don't have an idea where to go next, nothing is wrong with shutting the fuck up. Well, that's awkward, isn't it? Yes. Yes. If you're one of those neurotic guys I just talked about, having some silence is awkward as fuck. But as a man, you have to be okay with that silence. There's nothing uncomfortable about it unless you make it uncomfortable. Just sit there. Take a beat. Look, in acting terms, they tell you this. Don't be afraid to pause. And this is like, I have to fill airtime on this thing. So obviously, every period, I'm starting a new sentence. I try not to have many breaks. But when you're speaking to somebody, there is nothing wrong with a pregnant pause. The hell did you just think? What were you just saying? Shut the fuck up. Not sure what you're talking about. That pause there, for you, it feels like an eternity. But to the conversation, it's like you were just getting your breath. Like, you know, you breathe in occasionally when you're breathing out from speaking. It's just like that. So they don't know. You slow your roll. Now, in the case of marital or relationship dynamics, you're not going to win an engagement by shutting up. Shutting up will never win And by win, I mean like not deering, not supplicating, being attractive, that kind of shit. You're never going to win these engagements. But you won't lose ground. You will not lose ground. Shutting the fuck up never lost you any of these little mini battles. So if you don't know what to do, you can either say something, screw it up, and lose progress, or you can shut the fuck up and take the tie, take the mulligan, and just start up again in a minute. That's all you got to do. But I might lose my... and whatever consequence you're worried about, it's like, dude, that's okay. All these consequences we're thinking that matter, they don't. What if I lose that girl? There's 4 billion more girls. You'll be fine. And you never really lost this girl. Dude, if a girl is into you, you can say some awkward shit and she won't immediately stop getting into you. So just shut up and stop ruining your chances. And then pick it up again later. If she's still there, she is interested in you. If she's not there, she was never interested in you. So yeah. Shut the fuck up. They'll shoot you a pass if they like you. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I'm surprised I have to explain to guys what the halo effect is. Fuck's the halo effect? The halo effect is, I don't know if it's a paradox or whatever fancy egghead term they put on it, but the halo effect is if you're attractive in one area, and competent in one area, people are more likely to treat you as competent and attractive in other areas. This is why, who's the bimbo? AJ Cortez, big, tall, long hair, Greco-Roman facial features. He can say the dumbest shit tweet out there, and people are like, wow, that's so wise. You should be a philosophy major. That's the halo effect at work. And so what you want to do is take advantage of that in your life, you know? And it's not hard to be attractive. More often than not, especially if you guys are American, I don't want to hear anybody bitching about not being attractive again. Don't be a fat fuck is like 90% of the work. I'm not even saying you have to be jacked. Just don't be fat. Don't be fat and you look better than 90% of your country mates. Now, if you're one of those like runt skinny guys, okay, yeah, do some working out too. But still, the runty skinny guy is better off than the morbidly obese dude. Okay, Ryan, sorry for being so fat. Don't apologize to me. I'm not the one who was gonna fuck you. Yeah, I've had girls into me that thinks I should have been a comedian. Yeah, I mean, most comedians suck nowadays, so it's almost like an insult. Just shut the fuck up. You'll be fine. All right, I kept doing my own ads. I need to find somebody who's talking shit about me. Let's try this one.
Not Ryan Stone. I think he's the most important guy in the world. Ryan Stone. Give a fuck about Ryan Stone. Me and him have gone back and forth. Blah, blah, blah. Ryan Stone does not pass the 6-foot test. He's not even a man. So I don't give a fuck with Ryan Stone.
Bless that man. Bless that man and his clout-giving personalities. It's not my fault. He had long-form content. He didn't know I was going to take 15 seconds of it out of context to make him look bad. All right, what are we talking about here? The average USian woman? I think it's called American. I don't think you say United Statesian. Although, wouldn't it be United States woman? Yeah. It is 170 to 180 pounds at 5'5" to 5'6". Yeah. Which is crazy. Crazy. What else we got here? Was that Rich saying yeah? Oh, yeah, that was on a Rich's episode of, the fuck is it? Playing with Fire or Talking with Entrepreneurs or one of his shows. Anyways, it was after this guy, Culty Bra. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter. I don't think he has me on there. He got coked up one day and started talking shit about Tate. And then Tate talked to him and they sorted it out. But the thing behind the scenes was like, he sent a bunch of his war room guys over there in SUVs to threaten them. I'm like, first off, I don't buy that shit. If you're committing a felony like that, you don't admit it on social media. Secondly, imagine somebody paying $50 a month to go to his war room and he's like, hey guys, I need you to go over there and intimidate this guy. Yeah. And thirdly, it was Colorado? And if I'm not mistaken, Colorado is a castle doctrine, stand your ground state with open carry. So I don't know much about America, but if your gun culture and Second Amendment is anywhere near as tough as you guys talk about on Twitter,
you just rolling up in 4 black SUVs to a guy's house is like a one-way ticket to get an AR up your ass, you know? So my point is, it's performative bullshit, enjoy the theater, but nobody really cares. And then that was his response when one of you assholes gave him a $5 super chat going, you know, Ryan thinks you're kind of making this stuff all up as like a wrestling promo. And that was his response. Yeah, not a good idea in Colorado. So if anything, and this is the part that gets me, is that I considered it a compliment. I'm saying you're not completely retarded and that this is performative and it's actually good marketing. To which he responded, how dare you expose my marketing, sir? You always carry your 9. Big risk. Yeah, and like, would you guys sign up to join a private community and pay a guy to have him put you in that risk? No. I'm not going to pay some Slavic refugee money so he can tell me to go to war with some guy that I don't know over something that doesn't matter. Like, fuck off. I'm not buying that for a minute. But whatever. It's enjoyment. Do what you got to do. His response was another wrestling promo. Brilliant. I know. Like, it's the one thing about him I got to give him credit for is that he knows how to work the crowd, right? Same as like John, MLD John. They work the crowd. And I think the reason they've developed it and honed it to such a degree is because they don't have, I'm talking about like the Tates here. They don't have like a practical skill to back up on. Like, they got Manosphere talking points, but you can steal those. They probably steal those off of like Rolo's book and my book and whatever. But if you haven't like taken any time to build your own relationship, skills, like the stuff like in the trenches that I did, you have time to work on your marketing. And that's why, excuse me, I think Rolo talks about it's like the 3 types of guys. There's the money guys, the idea guys, and the marketing guys. Is it time for Tate's Romanian passport yet? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if the arrest warrants come in for that Forex scam and the kidnapping charges. So the ideas guys are the ones that were working on stuff. That's why Rolo can do Rational Mail, and because of this stuff, it's why I have like the married red pill type stuff. It's because we're working on the ideas, right? And if you build your ideas to a high extent, you don't have time to work on your marketing or your branding. Other guys develop all the branding stuff. They build that, like, you know, ass model of Instagram to a high degree, but then they have nothing to sell. It's just like all sizzle, no steak. And then you have the money guys who are like, I don't know how to do anything, but I have some money I can throw at this so you guys grow big, so let's do that. And ideally, you want all 3 of those guys in the same room working together, but it's the Manosphere. You can't get 3 guys together, with the exception, and I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of this. Rule 0. When I grabbed Rolo and put this thing together, what is it, 3 years ago now? 4 years ago? I don't even know how many years, but I'll put it this way. There has been no Manosphere beef amongst any of the members ever. We've had guys leave, we've had guys join, but none of this hit video like Anthony Johnson shit. And to get 5 guys in the Manosphere to do that is fucking insane. Insane. Yeah, and like you said, it seems like an elite team. It is, but that's not a compliment. It's like, this is bare bones adult professionalism. And the fact that I can say, like, out of the thousands of guys, we're the only ones that did it, is not saying that we're awesome. It's saying everybody else sucks some major dick. Major dick. Sorry, John Anthony Lifestyle. My mistake. We talking about new hair and stuff? Last Rule 0 on MLD's channel was brilliant. I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah, some of the new ones here, we're kind of going out with some ideas, trying some new things, and it seems to be working really well. John's pushed some new frontiers. Other John, too. Dude, if you guys ever thought, what can we do to make Ryan happy? I'm going to tell you right now what to do. Every time John Fitch is on there, in the same way we'd ask Jack Murphy about the Cuck article, I want you to ask him about the robot dogs. I want him on like a Rolo-sized 20-minute rant about the robot dogs. I don't care what the topic, if it is. We can have like the 15th episode of Looks Money Game, the series, Gym Tan Laundry, and just, hey, what about these robot dogs I saw? And then let's get them going. Anybody here who can get him on like a Rolo rant to the point where the guy gives him the screen, I'll give you a piece of merch. First one, though. I got to be careful. If like 100 of you guys get him talking for 3 hours, it's going to bankrupt me, so.
Yeah, and learn to fight. By the way, fun thing too. So a bunch of the guys in the Patreon have been taking his cutting stuff and his fighting stuff. They speak nothing but high praise of it. Not only is he actually good at it, at doing it, but he's great at teaching it, which is a rare skill to have. It turns out he's actually qualified as like he's been trained as a proper teacher. So it really shows. It really is like because he's like the idea guy, he's not the marketing guy. So I think he really is critically undervalued, man. Anyways, I'm working on a John Fetterman spiel. Who the fuck is John Fetterman? Didn't I tell you guys how annoying it was when you start asking me about or talking about people and I have no idea who these are? John Fetterman, an American politician who served as the 34th governor of Pennsylvania. Dude, he looks like who's that? Like not Uncle Fester. The Thing. He looks like the Thing. So what's his big thing? Is he that one that's on the Twitter now who like released a sex tape for his run? Whammon Robot Dogs, am I right? Is the talk bald guy with tats. Well, that doesn't narrow it down. Isn't that Alex Jones? He's running against Dr. Oz. Wait, this is real? Fuck off. John Fetterman, the tattooed tough guy is... Oh, it is too. He's facing off against Dr. Oz for president of the United States or some shit. Yeah, it's annoying, but you now know who Lizzo is. Can't be all bad. By the way, I found out, I think I might get this wrong, but I think I got it right. Because I was asking my girl, who the fuck is a Lizzo? And she's like, you know that one. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's this song that I can always hear in the background. I pick up through osmosis on her TikToks. It's where she has like this rap where she talks about she's got the bad DNA bitch. That's her, right? Like that's Lizzo? If so, that shit's catchy as fuck, man. I like that one. He's what we call a bogan in Australia, up against Dr. Oz. Oh, Pennsylvania, okay. Yeah, so that song slapped. I like that one. I just feel bad that she was playing the flute. I can't believe that a black woman in America will play the flute. This is bullshit. It's a rare flute. It's the American flute. It's like, whatever. Strike a blow to conservatives. Hey, let's pick the stupidest pill to die on. My Overton window pundit overlords have decided to make me bitch about something so ridiculous that liberals get to laugh their way to a new election. I'm like, you guys want to fight those hills, you fill your boots. Yeah, imagine bugging over a flute. Yeah. Everything is a 10 out of 10 scenario. To a lesser extent, it's coming here in Canada, and that's why I'm kind of getting annoyed by it. Like, don't get me wrong. Basically, nobody is a liberal fan unless they're like a huge soy boy here anymore because of how badly he's treated things, and especially on the West Coast. So, but then once people start looking at conservative sides of things, you start seeing conservative paranoia and instant needs to pick fights, and you're like, dudes, like inflation is at double digits. I don't care if he sang Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, fuck off. I don't like Lizzo for her obnoxious display of healthy at every size, but even I had to defend her in the first use of the flute, not twig. It's not even that you're defending her, it's you're wondering what the fuck the guy is thinking. And you realize it's the same as guys bitching about women. Like, dude, Allie, I know I talk about her every podcast, but I'm going to talk about her one more time because it's fucking funny. So what do you got here? You got like a 25-year-old chick, married, a guy in his 50s, decides to be a stay-at-home mom and give him babies. Now, if you talk to like your tradcon, wannabe, manosphere, fucking incel, AFC type guy, that's the life script. That's what you want. The only thing you could add to that is make her a virgin. But it's like at 25, if a girl's still a virgin at like 25, it's probably got some mental issues. So, you know, you got to weigh pros and cons. But that's it. That's what all of these dudes tell you they want. And then she's the living embodiment of it. And she knows all your talking points, and for the most part agrees with you. You would think that this chick would be 500,000, like she would be like the fresh and fit waifu goddess. But no, they're fucking shitting all over her. You're such a grifter. How dare you do exactly what I want, you bitch? And then she was always asking us, what do I do about it? I'm like, just lean in with it, man. If they're going to get mad, they'll be engaged. So just make them mad. And that's when she brought up like the men with the wall. And I was like, well done, sister. Well done. If you want to hear rants about Lizzo and body positivity, which I don't, check Infinite Elgintensity. Dude is funny. All right, let me see. If I see an anime Avi in his thumbnail, though, I'm fucking out. I'm telling you right now. I'm warning you. Oh, it's not a good start. No, yeah. I'm gonna pass. Hard pass. Thank you for the suggestion, but hard pass. Dude, a chick that can play the spoons, if you haven't, I would marry that chick in a minute. There's 3 instruments you want a girl to be able to play well. The spoons, the jaw harp, and the skin flute. And a girl who can play just one of those ones at a master level, marry her and never look back. Yeah, it was historical, and I get there's like a more like historical attachment to things along like American conservatives, but here's the thing. Nobody knew the fucking flute existed until the media told them it existed and showed them it existed in a way that made them mad. It's such clear, overt manipulation. It's like, look, if you truly believed in the historical significance of this thing, you would know about it. Like, they already know about, there's all kinds, like the Declaration of Independence is a document. Now, if Lizzo was wiping her ass with the Declaration of Independence that was signed, everybody would be on board. It's like, yeah, you can't do that, but it's a flute you never even knew existed. So fuck off. Whatever Ryan says, let me see what you're talking about. Unfortunate things about to happen. What about the triangle? What did we talk about with the triangle again? Was that my thing? I actually have to move to the next topic here, but we were having so much fun with the bantz, I didn't want to. Actually, no, we're not going to do that one. And no, I don't want to talk about comfort tests. Already talked about men aren't women. Already did shut the fuck up. Oh. That's good. So get you, and get you out of here. The whole thing was fake anyway. She played it earlier. That wasn't the right flute on stage. She's actually trained. Well, yeah, that was the one thing. Eventually, I actually clicked one of those links, and I heard her flute playing, and I'm like, it's actually pretty... she slaps. Like, she knows what she's doing. I guess that would be the other reason I can see getting mad, is if it was like... You remember when people played recorders, and they do, like, the Titanic theme, and it just sounds so shrill and horrible? Then, yeah, maybe. I don't think she has teeth. Jesus. So yeah, where are we going with this? Women, am I right? Yeah, so guys don't approach. But here's the thing, and this is kind of like an overarching point to get you back into all of this stuff. It's like guys are so hyper-focused on women that you can tell it's a projection. I'm not saying women aren't trash. Not saying that. I'm saying I don't give a shit. They're not my focus. I think it's one of those things that's like, it's probably one of the harshest things that I say on Twitter, but nobody seems to acknowledge it. Ryan, how come you shit on guys so much, but you never shit on women? Like, first off, I do. You just don't pay attention to it because it's not the thing that pisses you off. Secondly, my answer is, well, that's because I actually have expectations of men. And then everybody just kind of leaves it be. But you don't realize, like, how cruel a statement that is. Like, I don't expect even the smallest modicum of good behavior from women at all. I don't. I really don't. And it's like, it's for no other reason than I'm not dating them, so why should I have expectations of somebody who's not in part of my life like that, right? Especially cute girls. Like, dude, what's a guy gonna do to hold a cute girl accountable? Nothing. She can snap her fingers and 5 bouncers will throw your ass out of the place, and she can act like a right cunt. I wish I was at the point. Yeah, so just... You don't take them seriously. I don't put myself in a position where some chick will fuck me over, and it's not... But I'm also adequately understanding of, like, actual risks. So, yeah, walking up to a stranger and saying hi, not going to get a Me Too accusation. Trying to sleep with a coworker, more than likely, if she can get ahead, and it's like that sociopathic type, then yeah, probably don't do that one. But you see what I mean? This kind of has to come with experience, and that's why I always hate giving guys prescriptions, because... If you do this, even if it's right because I told you to, then you're still gonna fuck it up. It's like it's the lessons you have to learn it the hard way. You have to experience things. So the best you can do, show guys how to approach. And Dante's been a great example. I'm watching his field reports and stuff like that, and he's, you know, running through approaches, hit like the stalling point where it took X amount of time to get like a notch, and then like get his first notch doing this stuff, and then the first time where he was so like weirded out that the girl like didn't need like 8 or 9 steps in his whole process, so he could skip them, but but you're so mad, you're like, no, we got to stick to the script, and then you blow out your set, like all these things. And it's awesome to see him discover it. And I realized that, and this is one of the reasons I hate Roosh so much, is that the joy of it isn't like getting notches. It's not getting a wife or a girlfriend. It's not, sorting out the relationship problems. It's like the process of discovering all of these things happen to everybody and that you have the tools to overcome them. I still laugh to this day where there'll be a guy like in my Patreon. He'll be there for like a year. Work on his covert contracts, work on his assertiveness, work on his nice guy behaviors. And then all of a sudden, a year later, after hearing me give the same like advice that I've been giving to the same other guys, the same tools, like there's only so many mental models. So if you're there for long enough, you hear them all multiple times. And then finally he's like, dudes, I just realized something. And then he'll basically talk like, that stuff that Ryan's saying? I actually see it now. It makes sense. I couldn't believe this. And I'm like, I've been telling you this for like a full year. And now that you're finally seeing it for yourself, you're acting like it's something brand new you just discovered. And I'm like, you know what? It's what every guy does. Once it finally clicks in their head, they get that moment. And it's actually it's adorable to watch. It really is. I did something and my wife apologized to me and she shut her mouth and then we went and had sex. And I was like, I was amazed. I'm like, what did I tell you, man? Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, Dante, it's not, you're not trying to fuck your wife or not trying to fuck a girl. You're trying to be more fuckable. And then once you make it about that process, that's where you can actually start making some gains. Yeah, expectations are covert. Well, no. Yes and no. Expectations are not covert contracts. Expectations are your boundaries. They're like I guess they're pretty similar to boundaries. Like I expect if I'm going to have a girl live with me, we're going to be together, that you're not going to fuck some random dudes. Now you can make that, a lot of these things you have to mention. It's like, but that one's kind of one of those ones that kind of goes without saying. Don't fuck other people after you move in with me. But a lot of things aren't universal. And yeah, you do have to make them mentions. Like, yeah, for me, I can't even think of an example right now. What's the shit that I don't like? Oh, yeah, for the frying pans. Don't put the cast iron frying pans in the dishwasher. Just scrub them, keep them oiled so they'll stay forever, oil my cutting boards. Like little things like that, right? Those are my expectations. Now, if it's some random chick I brought home from the bar, I have zero expectations. Like, I remember this for like the second half of my, I don't want to call it a pickup career, but my single sleeping around times. Every time I had a girl over, she would wreck something nice in my house. Every time. I had my favorite crystal martini glass. Some chick kicked that one over. I had an onyx chessboard that I picked up in Ensenada, Mexico. Chick fucking smashed that one. I lost some bed sheets because she was anemic. It's like that one hurt the most, man. Those were sateen, 600 thread count, Egyptian cotton. They were nice sheets, custom made sheets, and she just fucking ruined them. I was so livid. What kind of destructive chicks? It's not even that they were destructive. The one just was anemic. The other chicks, they're getting drunk and having fun. It's usually while they're fooling around with me, and they just happen to flail around and take shit out. So it's just kind of like, if you're gonna play in a monster truck rally, you might get dinged now and again. Just you gotta accept it and move on with it, right? Sateen, yeah, it's a type of weave. It makes it like very shiny on the one side. It's very nice. So it makes cotton feel more like satin. Bezo, you joke, but you're not joking. Don't mess with the sheets. Dude, you got to remember, at the time, I was in the Navy, and the sheets that you have for when you're sleeping on ship are the same sheets they give prisoners. You guys know that big gray wool blanket and that standard blue top sheet and the standard white bed sheet that you fold hospital corners onto? Prisoners have it. Military has it. Doctors have it. Everybody has those same sheets. You know the ones I'm talking about. Everybody's food was the same galley food that everybody got to eat with like refried whatever and just easy to cook stuff. So when I got home, I made this is why I started learning how to cook, was because like I'm tired of eating shit every day. So when I come home, I'm going to eat something nice. And so that's when I learned how to cook. Same thing with the sheets. I am tired of sleeping on the shitty prisoner sheets. Like somebody can murder somebody and have just as good a sleep as I did. That's how fucked it is. So when I get home, I want some nice sheets. I want designer patio furniture. I want a 12-foot leather sectional sofa. I like the nicer things, and I earn the nicer things, and that's what I spent my money on. So it was funny. Red Pill, some guy was talking about how to make your place good for fucking, and he's like, always get a black or brown leather sofa. Always. And I'm like, he had me until there, sir. Italian white leather sectional. Had to do it. You still sleep with your wall Dude, why? Why? I hate that shit. Oh, see, bamboo sheets? No, dude. So bamboo sheets aren't just bamboo. They're actually rayon. It just, with rayon, you use any kind of cellulose. And it turns out because bamboo is so cheap and easy to manufacture, that bamboo rayon is there. The problem is they don't last. Like, they have a short lifespan. They kind of are stretchy, but they tear apart if you do it too much. Yeah, they breathe better. That's true, but so does nice cotton. But yeah, bamboo sheets are an absolute joke. Do not get them. They're disposable crap. Had to take a phone call listening at 2 times speed to catch up. Well, we're talking about bed sheets and proper thread counts here, so. But I mean, this is kind of where I was going with all this stuff too, right? That expectations. So you see what I think here? Like, I did work in my life. Doing in the military, doing the deployment, earning some money, buying my first place. I'll probably talk about that experience on the cast tomorrow or this afternoon. So I worked my ass off. And like at the time, this is when the property bubbles were first starting. Like, yes, even back in the 2000s, we were talking about how boomers have priced millennials out of the housing market, which was true then. It's more true now, but even then. So I had to go like a year where I had to run to work. I had to jog to work. I had to rent a place that was close enough that I could actually jog it. So I had a 5-kilometer bubble. I had to live in the shitty part of town. My place got broken into a few times, but I eventually saved up enough money where I could put the cheapest down payment on a place ever. I grabbed, the rule of thumb, grab like the cheapest place in the nicest neighborhood you could find, and I did that. And so yeah, once I did all that work, put all that in, I'm like, as if I'm not gonna have nice things. Fuck you. I mean, Matt, eventually I'm gonna make new cooking vids. Yeah, I don't know if you say so, Stripey. Like I said, I don't find it to be very good. My girl's got a new one now. She's having us try out where you have it's like woven copper in there. But from what I have found, the best way for like a pillow that keeps you cool is just like good cotton. Like, you really can't beat it. You really can't. Polyester wicks moisture, but it also absorbs smells. Cotton doesn't wick moisture, but it's way more breathable. Wool is the best. If you can get, and Americans figured this out because they have merino wool. It's an American type of wool of sheep. It's not good for suits, but they found out as like athletic wear, it's just great. So if you can get things made with the perfect type of weave for this is it's got a nylon core, so like a nylon thread, and then it's wrapped with merino wool. So you have like a thick wool, but it's not actually very thick. Like, you can weave it into like a normal like fabric. It's the best one out there because the nylon keeps the structure, so you don't have the problem where wool gets distorted over time and rips apart. But you also get that wicking power, the wicking, moisture, and heat control of wool, and it's just awesome. Yeah. Oh, they are, dude. Like my workout shirt. You'll see it in like my Digital Ryan channel. That's my thumbnail, I think. Is it still? Yeah. That's my merino wool t-shirt. It's like $100 t-shirt, but it lasts forever. It has no scent to it whatsoever. Like, I could bring it from the gym, leave it in the bottom of my bag, pull it out a week later. It still smells fresh. Like, it just antimicrobial, no bacteria, lasts forever. It's awesome. Yeah, definitely spend more time to be in a good neighborhood. It affects your mental well-being. Yeah, like there's a point where I'll put it this way. If you forget to lock your door one day, like you got drunk from the bar, you forgot to lock your car, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning. If you go out and your car is still there, then you're in a good neighborhood. So I'm not saying you don't lock your doors, but I'm saying if you forget once, it's not like an instant break-in. Oh, I'm sure you could. I had to switch from dumbbells to cables, kept hurting my wrists. Really? Honestly, lighten the weight on those. If it's the wrists are hurting, chances are it's because you're like, what the hell, the tendons in there? The tendons in your forearm muscles aren't strong enough to work with it as well. It's a common problem for a lot of guys, like with core strength as well,
when you have big legs or a big upper body but weak core, it turns out you think you can squat more weight than you can, but your core is not able to keep up, and so you end up hurting yourself. So the solution for these things is always to use less weight. There's some stabilizing like exercises you can do as well. I go to Mountain Equipment Co-op. They have them there in like the camping section, so I don't have a link. If I could sell my own with Red Morning on it, I absolutely would. If you do a Red Morning about getting your own place, I think it'd be a banner. I'll even hop on. Yeah, that could be an alright one. We'll add that to the list. Well, we'll see. So right now the plan moving forward is end of October is all of my pre-recorded stuff where I'm going to finish the majority of my editing. And once that's done, I'm going to start having guests on right now. I've already got a short list. I'm going to have Torsha. I'm going to have Ellie. I might have Pearl if we can make it work. I haven't reached out to her yet. I want Rolo on there. I want Rule Zero Dad. I want Nick. I want Rob. Mish again. Kriegler. I want to go back on his Based as Fuck Mondays. If I can have him on my show too, that'd be great. We'll see what his schedule's like. Same thing with like Zertis and the Canadian Wednesdays thing. So get a couple of those on the go as well. I wouldn't mind having Billy Pratt back on if he'll come. I might even have Dr. Seeger. He was fun. I liked having him on here. But there's all these guys, and I'm going to start reaching out and getting more guests on the show. A bunch of the regulars, maybe some new people. We'll have some fun with it. We really will. Does it hurt when you're pushing or when you're pulling or always? Will you visit the conspiracy? Yeah. Well, I mean, I've already done it twice, and I still talk to them on Twitter now and again. He knows I'm like off limits till the end of October. The only reason he managed to get me onto that one because he's like, dude, Danny's coming on, like from like Ryan Long's coworker there, Palinchuk, and I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, all right, I'll do it just to say hello. Those guys were just funny as hell. Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I got a whole bunch of plans, so it's just end of October. I'll start putting this shit together. Maybe I'll start harassing Carl and tell him to come back for one, and he'll tell me to fuck off. Yeah, see, Zach, that's the thing. So if you don't have the arm strength to hoist them up into place, then that's kind of your way, your body. And it's like the rule of thumb is like, if you can't lift it raw, you shouldn't lift it. And for most non-power lifters, it absolutely is the case. So like if I can do an overhead press of, I don't know, just random number, 100 pounds, but I can't clean and press 100 pounds to get up there, then I probably should do less. And there's ways around this, right? You can change your exercises to single arm stuff, so you're using half the weight. Oh, the fucking tanks in the background. I gotta stop that. I'm gonna get distracted. But there's always a ways around it. Yeah, well, for isolation work, so be careful with the isolation work. Here's the thing. When you're doing exercise, and this is the way my physio guy explained it to me, he was pretty good at it. When you're lifting, you have your primary movers, and then you have stabilizing muscles around it, right? And when you're lifting light weights, your stabilizing muscles keep you stable while the primary drivers lift. Once you get to a certain point, your stabilizing muscles disengage because they aren't able to handle the weight, so they just don't try. And your primary movers are doing double duty as the stabilizing muscles and as the primary movers. The problem is that makes them tire quicker, and then once they're tired, you become injured because your stabilizing muscles aren't doing their job. That's why even if you are, like, let's say you're up to like 3 plates or squatting or 2 plates or whatever it is you're doing, it's always good to do a couple warm-up sets with lighter weights to kind of warm up those. Like something, actually, here's one thing I do when I'm doing my squats, because I always had a problem with glute activation. My glutes never activated, and so my lower back had to take the stress, and that was one of the reasons why I was having such back problems. So before I start a set, I stand parallel to the wall, and I kick up my back leg 90 degrees, and as if, so like I'm standing, my back leg is like this, or the wall's here, and I lift my back leg up and then push it against the wall. And the idea there is you're just isolating your glutes for like a quick push against the wall to kind of prep them, and then start doing my sets, which ended up making it good because then my glutes would activate more and those stabilizing muscles would work, and it made myself a lot easier. Yeah, lightweight, baby. Yeah, I agree. But that's the thing. It was no weight. It's just literally me pushing up against a wall with my legs. That was it. Yeah, activation exercises.
And honestly, just doing 1 or 2 of those before you do like your power, like your big compound sets makes a huge difference. You don't have to do it a lot either. It's like 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds before a set. What's the one for? I never really had the problem with bench press, but I've heard for a lot of guys, like just doing a really slow incline flies were good for that. For the shoulders things, just full motion. Yeah. Hitting the wall for men. Exactly. Yeah, it's the mind-body connection of squeezing the muscle against the weight. Well, I like how Drew Bay put it, where it was you have like the amount of energy you expend, and because of gravity, like just slowly moving 1 rep for like 60 seconds because of gravity, that's like constant stress, provides maximum amount of energy for things. It's because of the way the muscles work, and I know I'm fudging up the explanations here because I am not a workout guy. But every protein in your muscles has like a sheath of glycogen and then a bunch of protein strands on the inside. And the protein strands have little like fingers that connect. And then they pull each other together. That's why when you're at the extent of your range of motion, only the very tips of those protein strands are touching, so you don't have a lot of strength. But then once you get to like midway, the strands are like fully interconnected, and so they have the most strength to pull on. Well, not even a lighter weight, like no weight, like the bar, or just with your body. That's all you really need to do. But in fairness, that's because I did ego lifting as a kid, which most guys do. If you're one of those guys that learns like good form, good technique, not overexerting yourself, letting your stabilizing muscles catch up from an early stage, you probably need to do it a lot less. Yeah, and I'm with Jack too. The only reason I would suggest like a treadmill or anything like that is just to get like your overall, like get a little bit of a sweat going. Because sometimes if you're working out in really cold environments, it's so cold you kind of feel stiff, and so it's a way of loosening up. Or if you're working out early in the morning, like I don't know how to explain it, but in the morning it feels like my back, like my spine has like stiffness to it, and just to get things kind of limbered up. So that should be fun. Anyways, so that, all right. I guess the topics went a little bit off, but we had some fun with this, so whatever. I'm not going to judge. Let me add these things to the thing. So we got our little timestamps. There's only 3, so whatever. And we're going to bant. I'm going to bant for the rest of this stuff. What's the time? Going to do some bants. 1:47, eh? Jesus, time just flew by on this one. All right, 1:47. Let's talk some shit about guys. That Hafiz guy, huh? Huh? Trucker convoy, huh? Dude, I'm loving that. Holy jeez. Like, look, politics, I get it. Sorry. But, so right now they have the, there's like a parliamentary hearing on whether the Emergencies Act was justified. I'll give you a hint. It's not. And Trudeau's taken the stand at some point, but right now, the last time they had 2 city councillors, names aren't important, Fleury and McKinda or something like that. Anyways, they're like the most soy people he ever met, and he did 2 things that's like such a Canadian thing to do. So there's this annoyance that you'll see if you have to deal with people from Quebec or like Ottawa or Gatineau or whatever, or the Acadia areas in the East Coast, is once they're uncomfortable and they don't want to talk about something, they forget how to speak English. Désolé, je ne sais speak it English. You're like, what the fuck? And this guy has like no accent, fully bilingual, natural speaking. And then all of a sudden they're asking like, what are these microaggressions that you said that the truckers were giving that made you bring in the cops and the horses? And he goes, if you want to know, you have to ask me in French. And he was saying it in French, right? And the other council was like, ask him in French. You'll have to ask me in French because I want to make sure I say the words right. I don't understand fully in English what I mean. And I'm like, so the guy didn't speak French. He's like, well, I can't do that. But I tell you what, we got this translator. Do you want the headset? And it's like such a flex. It was so embarrassing, right? It's like, here, why don't we give you the translator headset? No, I don't need that. I'm like, all right, so you do speak English pretty well. He's like, I tell you what, which English words are you having trouble with? Is it the microaggression? Is it this? Is it that? And it was like the most awkward soy shit ever. And so you can already tell it was just a bunch of like prissy city folk, terrified, and they eventually said that it was because big trucks were scary. They smell like diesel, and horns are loud. That was literally it. Ryan, some guy keeps going into chats and posting a rumor about you that you slept with your producer in the Navy. What the hell's a producer? I think he's mixing up stories, dude. There's two stories. Yeah, I slept with my senior officer, and she was a slump buster, but it wasn't because I liked her. It was just because I'm like, oh, I got to try it out. And my producer, well, I won't no comment on if I did or did not sleep with her, but sure was funny because she kind of was my introduction to woke stuff entering the military, when she tried to have me on all the different parts of like these commercials they were filming because I was a minority and well-spoken. And that's when I kind of saw the writing on the wall. But yeah, like, dude, I'm not going to shit on some guy for a slump buster. It's like, whatever. But it's like, it's your senior officer. It's like, why wouldn't you? That's like guys at work. Would you sleep with your boss? She's not the best looking, but that's a cool flex to say you slept with your boss. Plus, during evaluations at the end of the year, it'd be pretty cool. No, I think the producer one is either somebody doesn't know what a senior officer is, or they were talking about the film crew stuff. So yeah, ship must have been pretty white, dude. Team Brown, there was like 6 of us. My XO was East Indian. There was me. We had a black guy on the ship, a native girl, which was kind of embarrassing because she was also an alcoholic. So we're like, dude, it's like, why do you have to do that? And there was one more. Damn it, I can't remember. There was one more. Oh, El Salvadorian. There's an El Salvadorian guy. So there was like 5 colored people on the ship. And I always joked around. I'm like, Team Brown. And he's like, yeah, whatever's fucking around. But there was 2 lesbians and 4 gay dudes. So there was more LGBT than colored people. How do I get my wife to stop drinking 12 White Claws per day? Well, my big suggestion, Matt, is you got to kick her off the podcast. That's the only way around it. Because as long as she's there and as long as you're holding her accountable, she's going to be drinking White Claws, sir. And you really can't have that. May I also suggest you call her bro 7 times before you do? Bro, 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 bro. And then kick her off. Get a Bugatti and she'll stop. Yeah. Yeah, see, Geneva, that's a weird thing, like spreading these rumors. I don't get what guys are attempting to accomplish here. Like, kudos to them. I'm pretty sure you made that up, though, just to bring it up, so good for you. Have Kevin Samuels for the dinner. Jesus. Too soon, sir. Too soon. Anyway, is that a real thing, or were you just fucking with me with the White Claw wife thing? Because there was actually somebody did a little Pareto principle of the alcoholism in the States, and it turns out like 90% of Americans have a drink a week, and that's it. But the top 10% of Americans have the equivalent of 77 drinks a week. So it's like 11 a day, which is crazy. Well, went woke. This was like in the 2000s, late 2000s. And she flat out was talking about how they wanted to, like, we want to bring more minorities and people of color and women into the military. And so a lot of our stuff is geared towards giving them an image. Oh, my boss. She was East Indian, but adopted by a white family. And she was also like literally the biggest bitch on the West Coast. It was crazy. She was the one that made fun of the guy from my book. Remember Sarah and Weber, the guy whose fiance tried to sleep with me on his stag? We were working together. She was our boss, and she was the one that made fun of him for me sleeping with his wife at work while we're sailing in front of everybody. It was like the most non-chill thing a boss could ever do. Hart had a mullet. Pretty sure he had a mullet. Never count them, but rarely just one. Yeah, it's weird. So like, and if you want to talk alcoholism, it's actually, let's keep on topic. Yeah. So the trucker one. So you find out basically it was a bunch of scared urbanites that didn't like the smell of diesel. This is dangerous. I have to live like one of the poor's live. And that's what it turns out. It's like, dude, like, how sheltered are you in life? And I would hear, like, people would play, like, this is how bad it is in our neighborhood. And they'd TikTok playing the sound of the horns. And I'm like, Dude, I live in Toronto, which is like the urbanest city ever. This sounds like rush hour traffic right outside my place. So like, you're not impressing me. Anybody who works a blue collar job, that sounds like their office. So it's like, these guys are terrified. It's like hearing those girls bitch about, I haven't had sex in 2 weeks. I feel like an incel. It's like that. You're ratting yourself out. Yeah. Now when I drink for strategic purposes, honestly, so back to the alcoholism thing. I find it's not that alcohol is the problem. It's that, like, the person is the problem. If you can stop, you don't have a problem. If you make excuses why you shouldn't stop or you don't need to stop or whatever, then no. And that's everything. It's like smoking. If a guy's talking about, yeah, I should quit smoking, and he doesn't quit. It's like, just don't buy the cigarettes. Well, if he goes and buy the cigarettes, that means he doesn't want to quit and he has a problem. With alcohol, like, they always talk about, like, binge drinking. It's like in the military, man, you don't know what binge drinking means. When you lose count. When you lose count and you still have to be at work and you're hungover, like, that 7 beer a day thing for binge, I remember going twice as hard as that. Twice as hard. And nothing. And it was fine. And then we'd stop sailing and we'd come home and you'd stop drinking. You're like, oh, I just don't feel like drinking. Same with, like, smoking. Foreign ports, I used to smoke like 2 packs a day. And I was like, why? I don't even like smoking. But I was like, just fuck it, live forever. Then I got home, just didn't. Just haven't touched one, really. But yeah, I don't know how to get addicted. I have no clue what the roadmap to that is. I think there's something about the person. I don't know if it's, like, genetic. I don't know if it's hormonal or whatever. But if you can't put something down, then you're addicted. And if you have an addictive type of personality, then you really can't do it. That's why I never give, like, shit for Ed Lattimore talking about his alcoholism. He's like, dude, I change who I am. I can't say no. I can't have just one. So I'm like, for him, obviously not drinking is a pretty fucking good idea. But he's also not the one saying that nobody should drink. Like, there's other ex-alcoholics on Twitter who are Manosphere brands, and I'm not going to mention names because I actually kind of like the guy. But he's like, you know what, the greatest thing ever is never drinking. Complete abstinence. And I'm just like, fuck you, man. You're the one with the problem, not us. I will continue to drink when I feel like it. And when I'm on a cut, I'll stop drinking. And when I'm busy that week and I have shit to do and I have to get up early, I'm not going to drink. And I just say no. So that's good enough. So that's when I hear all these guys talking about, like, their masturbation addictions and their drinking addictions. It's like, you don't have a problem unless you can't say no. And with alcohol, that has some credibility. But for, like, the no-fap shit, I'm like, dude, if you have a regular sex life, I guarantee you don't have a jerking off addiction. I guarantee it. There's no way. There is no way. It's just physically impossible. Exactly. Quitting alcohol versus not drinking alcohol. And if it truly is something that you think you're addicted to, why are you professing it to the world as, like, some brand ass model of Instagram thing? It's a branding thing if you're doing it that way. And if you're making these great declarations about how good of a person you are, like, how many fucking examples do we need of, like, horrible anti-abortion evangelicals that got, like, 7 abortions in their youth, or, we got to be open and diverse, and it turns out they were, like, lynching people in their backyard. Like, how many examples of I don't like the gay type preachers are getting blowjobs from twinks in airport bathrooms, until you realize the people that are cheerleading this stuff the best are the ones who are the worst at it. The absolute worst. Yeah. Thank you very much, Marty. And Sluggo, is that the real Sluggo that I keep hearing about? I doubt it, but, like, fuck. Why did you name yourself Sluggo, sir? That makes no sense to me. But yeah, see, that's the other thing too. That's the reason I don't like drinking much as I used to. Because, like, I don't like the hangover. For me, it's not worth it. I hate losing a half of my day. So even now, like, on my biggest binge drinks, I'll have, like, 3 drinks. I feel so, like, I'm such a lightweight now. I'm like, I'm pretty buzzed. I'm going to call it a night. It's 9 o'clock. I got to get to bed. I got a podcast in the morning. It's the most embarrassing beta male shit ever, man. Do I go to the gym? Of course I go to the gym. Why wouldn't I go to the gym? How embarrassing would that be, being a Manosphere brand and, like, you don't even lift, bro? Honestly, until COVID, I had never taken more than, like, well, see, that's not even a good way to put it, but yeah, that there was a 15-month period where literally all the abilities to work out were closed, and even then, We were doing some body weight exercises. We bought a bunch of like workout gear as best we could and used it here, but yeah, at least you actually do work out. Well, that was during COVID when everything was closed. But yeah, there's a gym in my building. When I was on the ship, we had a gym in our reserve space, which is kind of funny. Like, you really had to, like, MacGyver some shit. Like, I remember our squat rack was actually a dip bar. You know the ones that it's just like a machine? It's not a machine, but it's like a big scaffolding. And it's got those two pegs that stick out, and you hang on them and do your, what are they called? Dips? Chest dips? So we used that, and we turned it into a squat rack. So literally the handholds became where you would put the bar. We had to use an easy curl bar because there wasn't enough space to put a full Olympic bar in there. And whenever you did a set, you needed 2 spotters on either side holding the bar because the ship goes up and it goes down. And the problem is when it goes down, there's no gravity. And when it goes up, there's twice the gravity. So you knew you were doing some weights. And then all of a sudden, if like you were struggling and then your last rep was really easy, you're like, time to rack it. Because then just... And that 2 plates turns into 4 plates real quick. You're like, holy Jesus. Yeah. So stuff like that. But you mean, do what you got to do. Well, see, I like dips. I think it's good to incorporate them. And I don't think you even need to be, like, super strong for them either. I don't know. Like, you don't have to have... It's not like chin-ups or pull-ups where you have to have, like, an amazing amount of strength. I never had issues with them. It's just really like a push-up thing. But it's good, too, because the big issue, I think, is shoulder mobility. If you don't have very good shoulder mobility, you have a hard time getting down on the dips. But I'm not going to be one of those guys that, like, chains 45 plates onto you, and I'm like, nah, just body weight dips are fine. If you need more weight than that for a chest exercise, just do bench. It's right there. Anyone who's worth a damn would be embarrassed to be on the Mount Rushmore of the Manosphere. Oh, dude, this place is such a shithole. I still love it when everybody's like, wow, you're such like a thing in the thing. And I'm like, ah, fuck this place. This place is a shithole. It's like, really? But you're so well known in it. Yeah, it doesn't mean I like it. I'm sure I'm well known in the military, but I wouldn't piss on that organization if it were on fire. Negative pull-ups. Yeah, I can see. That's actually good. The eccentrics are good for getting started on that stuff. It turns out most of your muscle strain is from the eccentrics. But you might be like me too. Like I have like a predominantly lower body, like my legs. I got wheels. And so for me, it's always going to be harder to do chin-ups than for somebody else. But at the same time, any legs type stuff, I tend to have like an advantage on that. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I think we're out on time here, so I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I didn't play any of these things at all, and I feel bad.
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
There we go. If I didn't get at least a couple of these out, then what am I doing here? Do I got one more?
Boom, what's up, fam? Got some things
Yeah.
to share that
We're doing one
unfortunately
more.
is not so good, so I'm gonna jump right into it. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry, looking in the corner like a little f***ing girl in the fetal position.
I should really go back and mine him for like it's weird. Like when I look at him, those eyes are just like they're not open, they're not closed. They're just kind of like Adderall. Like imagine talking to somebody, and this is how they like. It doesn't matter if I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm angry. That the eyebrows and the eyes don't like. My eyes are fucking drying out by doing that, but he can do it. I don't know. Maybe that's a meth thing. Marty, is that what fentanyl does to you? Ryan has old men pay for pictures of his calf muscles. Marty, not all of your nags are good, man. But yeah, we'll be on Clary's channel. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I forgot. I'm hoping he set it up that I can just move you guys straight over there. Let me see if I can do it. Redirect. What's Clary's fucking video called again? If not, I'll just provide you a link on this one. Home ownership in a post-marriage or post-something society. I don't know. Oh, he won't give me the privileges. What a prick. He didn't even let me send him. All right, here. That's Clary's one. We'll see you guys there in a minute. I'll see you guys in a minute. I'll see you guys soon. You know what I mean? Later.